Welcome back. Now that you have read the 2 articles on early literacy, let's return to our Foundations book and look at pages 93 to 99, where you will see the specific developmental indicators for each goal listed for the first subdomain, learning to communicate. Also take note of anything you see in a yellow box. For instance, on page 93, it's talking about that receptive communication that we talked about earlier. And then on 94, it talks about those dual language learners and how to help and assist them. On page 96, children who are generally more quiet than others, and maybe even those learning English as a second language, would also speak a little less often. It talks about how teachers and caregivers can pay close attention when quiet children do talk. Page 97 and 98 continue with that same subdomain. And 98 talks about children learning to speak with proper grammar that happens slowly over time. And then page 99, their yellow box talks a little bit about young children first learning vocabulary words that usually are for people, objects, and activities, and later then they begin to learn more about the abstract concepts. So take note of those yellow boxes you see. On pages 100 to 103, you will see examples of specific strategies to use for infants and toddlers, as well as preschoolers, to assist children in communication. Just like any other domains, you may have to make special accommodations for children with language delays to be able to communicate and participate with their friends. For example, you could use picture cards of common routines or of specific words to indicate needs and desires for these children. Now let's look on pages 104 to 108, where you will find the developmental indicators for the specific goals for the subdomain Foundations for Reading. As you can see again, take note of those yellow boxes. On 106, you'll see something there talking about different languages and how they have different print conversions or ways of printing the text on the page. So this will be important for you to take note and read that specific yellow box. 107 talks a little bit more about children benefiting from playful experiences where they hear lots of different types of sounds, and this will help them with their phonological awareness. So read that yellow box as you go through this as well. Then on page 109 and 110, you will again see examples of strategies for infants and toddlers as well as for preschoolers. Again, remember, these are just examples. There are so many more strategies that you are probably already currently using with children. And strategies could be a routine, a transition, an individual approach, or an activity for a small or large group. Now, the specific developmental indicators for the subdomain Foundations for Writing are on pages 111, 112, and 113. It's important for teachers and caregivers to keep in mind that beginning writing are squiggly lines that are random and all over the page. It's also important that we model writing and provide many opportunities for children to pretend writing when playing and let them draw and color with different types of materials, as noted in the yellow boxes on pages 112 and 113. And then on pages 114 and 115, we again have the strategies for infants and toddlers as well as for preschoolers when it comes to Foundations for Writing. You may also need to use that tennis ball technique for writing or coloring utensils like we did for the paintbrush, which would help a child with delays in fine motor skills. We're now going to move on to the activity for this module, where you will see an example of a strategy to use with a child, and then you will create your own strategy that you can also connect to a chosen curriculum. Remember, these strategies are based on the individual needs and goals for each child in the classroom. Each child is unique and different. Not every child is going to be at that given age category for every developmental indicator in the North Carolina Foundations. So be sure to look at the developmental indicators that are younger and older than the age that you have chosen, because we always want to consider the varying individual goals for each child. After you've completed your activity for this module and implemented it with a child or children, You'll then use your activity to answer the questions under the label on the Moodle page titled Check Your Understanding. Have fun looking at those strategies and coming up with some of your own.